With a few couple of summons, I failed to get Theon. Instead, I managed to get Beck. He is one of the newest addition character that came to the global side alongside Theon. I personally feel like Leo is being slept on because I firmly believe that he's pretty good. Not only do I believe he's good, he can even be quite useful in some fights. So if you guys don't know what Leo is all about, his range will increase, and when his HP is greater than 70%, his damage dealt will increase. Now, when at 6 stars, it'll go from 1 range to 2 range, and the more you start him up, the higher his damage dealt will increase. Whenever an ally initiates battle, then after battle, if the enemy's HP is below 15%, then you will deal fixed damage to them. Having that increased range is nice to have on top of that damage dealt increase, as long as he's above 70% of course. The fixed damage after battle can be quite useful at some times, although the HP threshold for it is pretty low. But with that being the case, you usually have a good chance of killing them with that fixed damage. For the mastery stones, for the armor, you could go with HP int defense, the helmet HP int magic defense, or you can even go defense because it is quite low. Only I would say if your defense on him is like really low, because he still wants to have that magic resistance even though his magic defense is quite high. The weapon, HP int and skill, the same can go for the accessory, although instead of skill I went with defense since, like I said, it is quite low. So that's why for the arena stones, I would recommend a defensive set for him so that he is capable of surviving a whole lot of stuff. However, if you don't really care about him surviving a whole lot of stuff, then feel free to give him a offensive set. For his soldiers, he has 3 good ones, actually 4 good ones that he can use. First one is of course the sorceress. As long as they're at 100% HP, they have that insane attack and magic defense boost. The poison bat mage is another really great one. Great attack boost, and at max upgrade, they have 100% chance of applying a debuff to the enemy before battle. The firebrand sniper, in certain situations I would say, they have that good attack increase as well as being able to deal fixed damage after battle. The Ghost Soldier can also be really good on him. It is one of the more defensive soldiers that Leo can use. They have a good attack boost as well as having physical damage taken down as well as being able to heal a certain amount of HP when the soldier is all dead. For his weapon, the scepter will be a really good one for that increased single target range, but if you like AoEs, if you want to go AoE with Beck, then Miracle Staff would be pretty nice on him. If you don't have any of these recommended weapons, then Red Moon or anything to increase his int will be fine for now. For his armor, I would recommend Tenyo's robe. You can even do Death's new robe, however, I wouldn't really recommend this too much for PvP. The reason being is because it doesn't really provide any stat bonus like the Tenyo's robe does or the Galaxy Cloak like I do. This one gives magic defense and HP increase. And the Tenyo's robe does give 10% increased HP, but the Death's new robe doesn't have anything like that. So if Leo ever gets AoE'd, then he'll end up taking a whole lot more damage. For his helmet, the Tenyo's head-address or Holy Aegis are both really good on him. If you don't have any of those two, then you can do the Dark Crown like I do or anything else that gives like stat bonus, and maybe as well as something that does additional effects. Then for his accessory, he has a few different options that he can go with. You can do the meditation ring like I have. This allows him to be immune to fixed damage, which is really useful when using his unique 2C skill. Another one you can use is the juggler plushie, so that when you do use this unique 2C skill, it will last an extra turn, which can be really huge. If you guys don't feel like using any of these, anything that gives him int will be fine to use. Preferably that does additional effects like Vidar's Rose to dispel enemy buffs, Dimensional Jewel to lower skill cooldown, or even the Star Earring to help better survive against assassins. For his enchants, Clock is exceptionally good on him. However, if you want to do more damage, then you can go with Magic, maybe even Full Moon if you guys like that, or just a simple stat increase. I think it was like 10%, as long as he's above like a certain amount of HP. Even Breeze will be quite nice on him to help him move around more. Alright, so hopefully all that helped you guys with building Leo. So let's now go into his first awakening stage. Alright, so here we are. We're going to be up against Theon, Gustav, and then Bozel. Now the skills that you want on him, you want single target ones. And then for the last option, you can go with his unique 2C skill, which allows him to revive, which can be really big brain. Or you can go with an AoE so that you can deal damage and then finish them off on a second turn, just to deal damage while also giving some debuffs. You can also use a summon too to distract the enemies. Then for the soldiers that you want to use, I would go with Sorceress. Sorceress is really amazing. The Poison Bat Mage will also be really good for this. Firebrand Sniper as well if you guys have these upgraded. And then for the component that I'll be using, I'm gonna go with Brig because it does give more int. So with that, everything should be pretty set. For the whole entire stage, you should have no problem outranging any of these guys. However, if you are feeling a bit scared, see right there, I was able to one-shot Theon. Then you can always use his reviving skill, although it might not be entirely necessary unless you can't really one-shot them. Now to deal with Gustav, she might be a little bit tankier because the thing about mages is that they have a natural high resistance against magic defense. You might have the same problem when up against Bozo. If you are using Dark Reaper, I would recommend just waiting on that until it refreshes unless you already have it. But Dark Reaper has a thing where not only does it heal yourself, but it ignores 30% of the enemy's magic defense. And the same strategy can apply when up against Bozo. You should already have 2 stacks of the buff, so dealing with him should be no problem. But if you are somehow still having trouble with him, then you can use his reviving skill before you actually start attacking him. And with that, there we go. Leo's talent definitely helped out a lot there, because if he didn't have that increased range, for certain, Theon would be troubling to deal with. So yeah, if that wasn't the case, a lot of people would have trouble dealing with this, and I would not blame them for that. Now for his 3C skill. It has a 5% cooldown for his passive before dealing an AoE skill. You apply Nether Flame to the enemy, and what it does is that after he or anyone that has that contract buff, which is his revive skill, to enter battle, the talent fixed damage is guaranteed to trigger. So when the target dies, Leo Beck will gain a 2% increase to all of his stats, which is stackable up to 5 times, totaling up to 10%. This Nether Flame debuff cannot be dispelled and lasts for 2 turns. As for the actual 3C itself, it attacks enemies while converting 2 buffs into 2 random debuffs. I don't think it's that bad. Definitely really interesting. Alright, so if you guys are curious, this is his 3C animation right here. Alright, so for his second awakening stage, not entirely bad. They're never too hard, I would say. You can always rely on the characters that they provide to you. You just gotta play it smart. I don't think it's too tricky or too hard, but usually if they are, then I will show them in the video, but I don't think this one is entirely that bad. But with that being said, I'll see you guys for the showcase. These group of enemies are gonna be so perfect for this. But just in case, I'm gonna recap his 3C in simple terms. Before using AoE skill, will apply his Nether Flame to enemy, in which Leo or anyone that has contract will deal Leo's talent fixed damage without that HP threshold. When the enemy dies, Leo gains a 2% stat increase, and when using this AoE skill, it changes 2 buffs into 2 random debuffs. Alright, so over here we got a group of volunteers willing to help me out with this. So, let's go ahead and see what this 3C is all about. There we go. So we got some good debuffs. And you can see right here the Nether Flame debuff. So Licorice does have the contract right here. So if we attack this Leviathan, let's go ahead and attack from 1 block. So we're not doing too much damage. Let's hope that she doesn't do too much damage here. Okay, good. And as you guys can see right there, there goes that fixed damage. So long as just anyone has that contract. And if we watch the enemy die, hopefully one of them dies at least. Okay, thank goodness. You can see Leo got whatever that was right there. And look at that stat increase. Bam! Look at that. And so if we have Neela Crusher here to finish the job, Leo should get a little bit more, which should be at 4 stacks right here. Yeah, 4 stacks right here. And something interesting to note is that it seems like only enemies that have the Nether Flame debuff will allow Leo to get that stat increase. Because if you attack his Vampire Bats without having that Nether Flame debuff, Leo's stats does not increase for some reason. I kinda wish it wasn't the case. Like, why can't it just be any enemies that dies in general, instead of them having to have that debuff in order for him to get that? It just seems so weird that they did that, because all that does is just make Leo much more strict. I would say overall, his 3C is alright. Not too bad, pretty decent for an AoE. I mean, like, the changing 2 buffs into random debuffs is pretty interesting. And he has a lot going for the passive, but it really isn't like crazy. I still don't really like the fact that the enemies need that Nether Flame debuff in order for him to get that stat increase. Like I said, I wish you could just like kill the enemies without needing to have that Nether Flame for that stat increase. Being able to deal fixed damage while ignoring that HP threshold is really nice. It is really nice. But it does want to make you rely on bringing his unique 2C skill. Otherwise, without it, only Leo is benefiting from that fixed damage. Not really much to say about it because the skill's like nothing too amazing. Could be better, it could be worse, but it's not entirely bad. I would say the biggest thing coming from this 3C is the way how you can change 2 buffs from the enemies into 2 random debuffs. The stats increase is really nice, but the thing that's dumb about it is that the enemies need to have that Nether Flame debuff. And you need to kill enemies who have that, so that way he gets it, which is pretty stupid. And I guess the fixed damage is pretty nice. And that's really about it. There we have it. That was Leo's 3C showcase. Not too crazy of a skill. A little bit on the good side, a little bit on the worse side maybe. But I would say just a little bit on the good side actually. But Leo Beck as a character, he's just another simple magic attacker. He has a pretty good range. He'll be able to do quite a bit of damage and can be quite useful in PvE. He's got good single target skill and he can really rely on his reviving skill. In PvP, he can be somewhat useful. The only real thing that's unique about him is the revive skill, which doesn't really last that long unless you have the juggler plushie, and this is easily countered by follow-up AoEs and fixed damage. Besides that, he can possibly deal some good debuffs if you're running double AoEs with him. And that's another thing I want to talk about too. For whatever you want to bring for his 2C skill, it can be optional at times. You'll often ask yourself whether if bringing his revive skill is the right play or if bringing another AoE skill is the right one so that you can focus on more damage. Stuff like that, you gotta look at the situation that you're in and what your opponents can do. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about him. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And feel free to let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Leo Beck. Or if there's like anything that I missed about him, because I'm not exactly perfect. There are quite a bit of things that I do miss out on stuff. Even some stuff that I don't even know. So feel free to point those out if there were any. And yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.